Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today we have here the Tower card in its upright in combination with the Six of Pentacles in its reversal. So we're going to talk a little bit about this right now, because one of the things I was mentioning is there's a lot of feeling, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of feeling of pressure right now that we're currently experiencing. And a lot of this has to do with, and I keep on getting the message, it has something to do with where Taurus is right now and Jupiter. Because these are very heavy forces, okay? They're very heavy forces. And they can sometimes be oppositional as it relates to how one navigates things. Now, let's talk about, like, one of the things that we talked about when it comes to Taurus energy is that Taurus energy is very much one that stays very focused upon what the groove is, right? We talked a lot about that feeling of working in a space where, like, one is feeling comfortable and confident. But it's also that understanding, and this is what's difficult, right? One of the things that often comes through in an energetic journey, specifically around Taurus, is understanding that the only way that one finds something's better, like, there's possibilities that are beyond what one feels comfortable within, right? We find new comfortability points. There are new things that, like, there are new comfortability points, right? But it requires us to be energetically annoyed as we find those new things that we are comfortable with. Now, all of this energy that I'm seeing right now, it feels somewhat oppositional to the Aquarian energy that we're just coming out of. Because all of this Aquarian energy is all about innovation, right? Like, all the Aquarians are always expansive as it relates to being willing. Like, the beautiful thing about Aquarian energy is always willing to, like, break a groove. If something's so not working, like, that's a place that one can build in. That's a place that one can plan upon, right? It's much more about that inventiveness. So this is why so much of this right now feels difficult, because I would not be surprised right now if you feel like you're struggling to try to figure out different ways to energetically fix something, right? And some of it may be feeling like working through the pathwork of identifying what feels energetically comfortable versus what feels energetically comfortable just because one is used to it, right? Like, that it's a lot of this, like, and I told you, like, it's like nails on the chalkboard to a certain extent, because it's very easy to get frustrated upon the self in the process. Now, on top of all of this, we've got Venus in retrograde, right? And this is what I want, and this is what I was saying before we started the podcast, and I'm going to reiterate, okay? If there is a problem, you are not the problem. Okay? Like, it's a lot of this energy. Like, I got to tell you right now, it's a lot of this energy that's like, is it me? Am I, like, it's a lot of this, like, because I'm telling you right now, like, what happens, right? This is what happens when we've got Venus in retrogrades that start happening. It's like the eye that we typically cast outward, it starts going, like, it turns on the self in ways that can feel, it's a harsh light on the self, effectively, so it's like, it's a lot of that, like, so if you're feeling like that a lot right now, I want you to navigate that in a state of compassion. And I want you to recognize that we are works in progress. So if you're feeling like you're casting a harsh light on yourself right now, I want you to remember that you are not a mess. You are a work in progress. Because that ability, like, I'll tell you right now, like, you know what? And this is like a little bit of this, like Like I'm tired grandpa kind of energy, because that space, like, you know, when we get frustrated, it can be, and I know it's hard to, I know when we're like, I know there are those listening to me right now, and they like, if I'm making, if you're feeling like I just want to punch, like, yeah, like that, yes, like, because when we're frustrated, we lose tolerance, right? We start feeling like we don't have the ability to tolerate our frustration. But when we're able to navigate through our energetic frustration, there are solutions on the other side of it, right? There's profound solutions on the other side of it. But this is why I keep saying that one of the major messages that's coming through right now is, don't hinder your own progress by getting frustrated with yourself in the process. You are the solution to like the, if you it, like to the problems, like not, and to like, and they're not like to working through something. And like, that's the only thing about some of this energy right now is it's the type of energy that feels very it's very easy to want to feel hard on the self as you're navigating it. And that's why I keep on hearing breakthroughs right now, not breakdowns, locking in, not lashing out. Because when we take that force of frustration, and this is a little bit of the message that comes through right now. It's all about, like, a lot of the messages coming through have to talk about the fact that everything that we have is a gift. And I know you're looking at me and you're saying, frustration is not a gift. Frustration's annoying. I hate this. Yeah, you hate I want you to look at moments in your life where we get out of our own way, but we say, I got too frustrated. And I made a change, and that change, right? Sometimes we make changes in moments that we get frustrated that are absolutely profound, right? They change everything in positive ways. But that's why I'm seeing even now navigating that force of change in a way that feels supportive, in a way that feels energetically encouraging, as opposed to what happens when we just allow that force of that force of frustration out in places that it doesn't deserve to be. Like, this is how we step backwards. So there's a lot of this energy here that says, like, there's a lot of this work that we're seeing that says, allow the force of frustration to move you forward in profound ways. Because when we learn to navigate through our own frustration, we find ourselves on the other side. Center card in today's spread, and that's happening across all of the frequencies right now. And we're going to get into it because in a moment, as we start getting deeper into these cards. Center card for today's spread. Yep, right? It has to do, and do you want to see this right now? Like, I want to just show you, look at these powerful cards that we see next to one another right now, okay? Because we've got here our Six of Pentacles in its reversal and our Four of Pentacles in its upright, right? And this is why I keep getting this message, which is like, and I'm going to say, okay, so this is directly coming through for the energy deep within divine union, because I told you this is the hardest, this is the heaviest place to hold this right now. I'm seeing for the energy in separation and the energy coming into divine union, this feels expansive, right? I'm going to speak directly right now to the energy deep within divine union, because I can see that something about this expansion moment that's happening right now for the energy in separation and coming into divine union just feels really, really, really annoying, like annoying for the energy deep within divine union, because it's like the four, it's like, it's more direct. It feels much more not projecting out the frustration, potentially even on counterpart, right? Because, and it's a lot of this, it's a lot of this, like, I didn't mean that type of energy here. This is why I keep saying, like, when and if this is either coming through, like, if like, when we're in that moment, you ever do this? Like, when you're deep in the space of cleaning, you're like, I don't need any of this. I don't need any of that. And then you're being like, oh, geez, I needed that. I really needed that. I was just having a minute. I was frustrated, and like whoosh. It's like a lot of that type of energy here. So I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of the energy right now, and this is why I see some of that frustration coming through. I see a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And it has something to do with where Scorpio is, something coming back up, right? Working on something, being able to pick something up that you couldn't work on before in the past. Like I see some energy right now ready to do something. And a lot of that work that I see, and this is what's beautiful about that Six of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles, is when we bring things back up within ourselves, we recognize and identify what we hold on to versus what we're ready to let go of, right? And that's what I see is happening right now. It's like a lot of that work that feels like holding on and letting go simultaneously. And that's why I see that a lot of that energy is doing something in a new way, because I keep on hearing that the energy deep within divine union is finding Aries via doing new things, right? Finding the confidence of doing something new. And when we're doing something new, it's easy to get frustrated ourselves and wanting to stop too quickly because it's difficult. But this is why we say it takes a lot of strength to be a student. I always like to point out Aries are not the warrior of the zodiac. Aries are the children energy of the zodiac, because what is the gift of a child? What is the gift of a child energy? I didn't do that right. I'm going to do it again. Like children are amazing in that capacity, because children, like, if you're in the space of being a child, you navigate, like you work in that space where you try and try and try and try and try and try again, right? You build into that force of like learning, like when you're learning how to do something, you're going to stink at it, right? You're going to stink at it. It's like training wheel type of energy. And it's easy when we see like training wheel type of energy. What do you want to do? You want to take the bike? You want to throw it? You're like, I'm never doing this again. Right? But when we're in that space, we give ourselves compassion. And so there's a lot of, I see that and we're going to talk about this, because this is both happening right now for the energy deep within divine union and the energy coming into divine union. This is inner child healing. This is inner child healing, right? Because when we get frustrated at ourselves and we say, I'm never going to be good enough, never, right? What do we say to our inner child that says that? You're learning. You're healing. You got to have compassion for yourself. If you're getting mad at yourself for trying and you're doing something in a way that you haven't, you're putting a qualifier on something that you're already doing, right? We hold each other gently in that space. So I see that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, this is how the counterparts are supporting one another as they go through those processes. And for a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now, this is like, I see a lot of energy coming into divine union that's having like they're having a head slap moment. Why is the energy coming into divine union having a head slap moment? Because the energy coming into divine union can see something that they couldn't see before. I always like to point out, like, sometimes coming into the understanding of the self doesn't feel like, I told you this, the thing with some of this energy right now is it doesn't feel like the kind of coming into the self that's like, oh, it's a lot of those like doink, like it's a lot of those like head smacking moments, right? It's like working in that context of being like, it's so clear to me now. I can see it. Like I couldn't see it back then. And that's why this becomes inner child healing. Because again, if this is experiences where you're looking back in the past and you're recognizing something that you did not see because you had not felt it, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to be kind to yourself, because you can't have a point of comparison on something that you did not know prior to experiencing it. So I just keep on seeing a lot of that energy that's like feeling, it feels like it's like the awakening that feels like a little bit of a head slap as it relates to situations or circumstances in the past, that it now becomes very clear as to why something wasn't working. Again, I told you, like, one of the messages we often get is sometimes clarity only comes in moving forward for this reason, right? When you get far enough away from something, you can see it with more clarity. While for a lot of this energy right now that is in separation, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy in separation, and this is the thing about it. Like, this is oh, I'm gonna kind of explain what I'm seeing now, because it feel like I keep on feeling for a lot of the energy in separation, it feels like the open and closed hand. Why is the hand opening and closing? Because I see a lot of this energy in separation that is, I mentioned this during the alignment. Sometimes the messages move more rapidly up, like through the frequencies, right? A lot of that energy arriving at that point of saying, I'll never not feel this. I just need to feel more. I'm never going to stop feeling like this. I just learned how to feel more. Like, there's something about that work that, like, it's hard, right? It's like, I can see, it's like, I almost see some energy in separation, like struggling with that, feeling frustrated about it. But it almost feels like, healthy frustration, right? It almost feels like the type of frustration that, and I can almost see, and this is why I can hear some energy in separation looking at something they're holding on to and saying to themselves with clarity, am I holding on to something because I miss how it felt? Or am I holding on to it because I long for what I hoped it would feel like and it never came into fruition? Those are different feelings. And that's why I see a little bit of segmentation that's occurring right now for energy and separation, because that articulation point, right? This is very important. This is how we come to understand ourselves better. I see energy and separation introspecting on what they're holding on to. This is how Scorpio, I told you, this is how Scorpio is helping the energy and separation to articulate and recognize as to whether this is the energy that is holding on to something because they truly miss it, because something about it was actually perfect and they want it back, or is it actually a feeling of longing that was the articulation of something that never felt energetically right, that we put our force of desire towards, that we hope would energetically change, and we experience the fact that it never reaches the potentiality that we hope that it did, right? And so I keep on seeing there's a lot of this energy and separation defining how they feel, that's helping them hold on to something with greater clarity. I told you, coming out of the Aquarius in like the Aquarius new moon energy, it's all about the refinement of a manifestation goal. And a good manifestation goal is not about what we achieve, it's how we feel, which is why I see so much of this energy and separation introspecting on how they feel, so that they can better refine their manifestation going forward. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today. Those are too many cards. Can I have 2, please? 2 cards to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the 4 of Wands in its upright in combination with the Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. So I keep on seeing that this is having, and this is where some of this, like, Venus in retrograde energy, like, it can start, like, I'm telling you, this type of energy, I'm just going to say this with, like, all gentleness, it's very easy in this energy to feel rubbed the wrong way. Why does it feel like it's easy to feel rubbed the wrong way? Because we've got a little bit of that, I think I told you, like, when we start hitting these Venus in retrograde cycles, it becomes too easy to, like, want to turn the, like, it's like the eye of the self that turns inward and only sees, like, it's like sharp contrast, right? It's like seeing the things about the self that are difficult, right? Like, I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to say it again, if you're experiencing this right now, comparison is the thief of joy. right? We don't hold our journeys against others, because when we do so, we start being very hard on ourselves in the process. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation, what I feel like I see here that is so beautiful is that for feminine energy, I just keep on hearing that there's a lot of that path work as it relates to forgiving oneself for those places or spaces where one was holding oneself to an ideal that was beyond the self, right? Like all of that work to a certain extent. Because when we come into those places, like when we start to navigate those points of saying, like, I'm not good enough, right? What we have to say to ourselves is, what are we comparing ourselves to, right? What is that comparative point that you are identifying beyond you, right? Because the higher self is you. The higher self is that work in terms of moving towards that perfected coordinate. And so I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, I keep on hearing the energy that's almost saying to oneself, like, I see the energy and the feminine energy in separation. Again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that says to themselves every step in the way, I forgive myself for those moments where I held myself to a standard that was outside of my own determination point, right? Like there's a lot of that energy here. And so and that's why I see that there's potentially a lot of that work that's happening as it relates to, and I think that this is what's important. Like this is like the energy of the feminine that's building into that space of honoring the higher self via recognizing and identifying and holding space for those moments that they weren't moving in alignment towards that. They couldn't see that energy as clearly, right? Like I almost see a lot of that energy in separation. I keep on hearing a lot of the feminine energy saying, this is why that I keep on hearing the energy say, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. Because this is the energy that says when they found themselves, they found the connection point to their higher self, right? And what is that energy? It's a force of love. It's a force of acceptance. It's a force that doesn't say you're not good enough. It's the energy that says you are me, right? The criticism's got to go, right? like the higher self's got that. I can hear the energy of the higher self saying to the feminine energy, I've got a note for you. Like you're too hard on yourself, right? You're too hard on yourself. And that's the energy and this is, I can hear the feminine energy saying, who's saying this? Is this my higher self or is this my divine counterpart? And that's why the energy says yes. Because why would a divine counterpart be saying something oppositional to what your higher self is saying, right? While for masculine energy right now, I just keep on seeing that a lot of the masculine energy, same exact work, right? I can see a lot of the masculine energy being like, I'll never be him. And then the higher self goes, who's that guy? Like the higher self goes, you are me, right? You are that. It's not him. It's us. I am you. You are me. And what's standing in the way between what you see yourself as, between who I am, right? So I just keep on seeing that there's like a lot of this. I feel like, and I'm not, and this is why guys, we're just getting into this like Venus and retrograde energy, man. So we gotta like be kind to ourselves through it. You gotta be kind to yourself, because that space of saying to yourself, you are not a mess. You are a work in progress. And remembering that the counterpart that's for you will see you as such. This is what's allowing a lot of that energy to look back on the past and either forgive themselves from those moments that it feels like they strayed too far away from the self, trying to meet another's expectations of them, or recognizing those moments that one couldn't see oneself clearly and it felt like you were just kind of wandering around aimlessly in the process of trying to seek something outside of the self on that journey. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, This is why it feels like, again, the energy that's immediately coming into an awakening point and then slapping themselves in the process. Because this is the energy. I told you, this is why I'm telling you, this is why it like feels like a little like this is the energy going, I was blind, but now I'm free. I was cringe and now I'm like, I am blind, but now I can see. I was cringe, but now I'm free. Because the minute that we see what the things that are for us, we immediately see all those moments that we were trying to move towards something that wasn't for us. And then we're like, oh, like, it's like looking at the past like a blooper reel. You know, you're like, oh, ooh, like that is also a sign of a healthy journey, right? Because what do we do when we become cringe? We hold ourselves with a state of compassion. We hold ourselves with a space of love. You know, we look at those moments and we go, "Oh man, look at them go. Oops, ooh." Like, you know, it's like, "Ooh." Like, but we do it in a place of gentle compassion. I feel like there's a lot of that. That's why I told you it's like the heart expansion that's happening for some of the energy that's coming into divine union. Because it's like I keep on hearing coming into divine union is a cringy celebration because you recognize what it feels like, and then you cringe at all those moments that it didn't feel like that, but you were really really trying to get it to. You were really really trying to get it to. While for masculine and feminine that are deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy deep within divine union, this is why this energy feels so frustrating for the energy deep within divine union, because it doesn't feel like this, like, you know, it doesn't feel so much like an expansion moment. It's the energy that starts to feel like, it's like, I see that energy very much like coming into like I keep on hearing the energy within divine union that's trying to force a breakthrough. And what are the counterparts saying to one another? You can't force a breakthrough, right? Like you can't, like that's the difficulty point, because there's a lot of that. And I'm going to say it again. If you're feeling like that right now, like go, and I don't mean, and I need to stress this, when I say go easier on yourself, I don't mean like work in that context that you stop trying, right? Like don't get into that, don't become like the little kid that like, you know, gets frustrated at doing something and throws it down and says, I'm never doing this again. Give yourself a break. Be compassionate with yourself in the process. Take time to appreciate and allow, like, you know, like let that, those places or parts of the self that you're feeling frustrated about, let that like bring you into like, and this is why I told you that this is the energy within divine union that's finding Aries, because when we're feeling frustrated and we don't lash out but we lock in, this is how we navigate surrender, right? And a warrior energy is not forceful, right? It's not provocative. It experiences, like, it doesn't try to fight the wind, right? It stands in the face of it, right? And it doesn't blame itself if it's windy. You know, like you come into that space of identifying what is within one's own power to change versus what is outside of one's ability, like what is beyond one's capacity to do so as well, right? It's a lot of that type of energy, right? And that's why I almost hear a lot of that, like, you know, I keep on hearing the energy in separation and the energy in divine union keep on saying the same things. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of energy like on the midst of a breakthrough, because whenever I see the energy deep within divine union and in separation saying the same things, there's a lot of alignment that's happening. What is the energy deep within divine union saying, as well as the energy in separation? Help me see. Help me see what I'm missing, right? Continuing to get clarification between the Tower card in its upright in combination with our Six of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Cups in its upright. So, like I said, when we are able to push through the veil of our own frustration, we see the realm of possibilities around us, right? Do you ever notice that frustration makes you really myopic? Like frustration makes you really myopic. It creates that like, because when we're frustrated, we're trying to do something in a certain way, and no matter how many times we do it that way, it doesn't feel like it works, right? And that's why if we don't if we allow for that frustration to move us into a space where, again I told you, when you feel frustrated and you step back, right? You give yourself a minute. What opens up before you? Like the possibilities, right? The possibilities of what could be as it relates to what one is frustrated towards. But when we move towards the things that we're like, when we really try to, like, when we're frustrated and we just, like, that's why I keep on hearing lock in, don't lash out. When we lash out, like sometimes when you drive forward, you end up moving backwards, right? It's like it creates that space. So I keep on seeing that, and that's why I'd say even now, like if you're navigating some of this like weight or heaviness and you're being hard on yourself, make sure that you're not projecting that onto those around you, right? Because I keep on seeing that when we're like, the compassion we give ourselves is directly proportional to the compassion that we can give those around us. When we are gentle with ourselves, the reason we work to heal is, like, I'll tell you right now, if you are really hard on yourself, you probably make life really difficult for everybody around you. And that it can come from a good place. Like, it doesn't have to be, right? But it can sometimes. We've all met people like that. We've all met people who, the first person who has to experience them is them, and then everybody else around them. But when we navigate a place and we can be hard on ourselves. We can hold ourselves to a high standard, but also have compassion for the self. Because when we have compassion for the self, we immediately extend that to everyone, like everyone around us. Right? It's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's like, it's something we find, and then we start giving out to those around us, because it is that space that says, like, we can do, like, as long as we don't get frustrated, we can do anything, right? We recognize that frustration can become, like, it can move us into a place of being motivated, right? It can move us into a place of being able to recognize where it feels like we're standing in our own way. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, that force of compassion, this is how the counterparts heal one another. Because they say, like, and this is what's beautiful, and I'm telling you right now, this is what I hear the energy deep within divine union saying. Like, the energy says, I've got a note for you, right? You're too hard on yourself, right? You're like, that's the energy that goes, I've got the note. Like, if the energy says, am I missing something? And the counterpart says, yeah, you're too hard on yourself. Why did I tell you that the energy in separation is very much in alignment with the energy within divine union? Because I keep on hearing a lot of that energy in separation that's working in that context of saying, like, to the higher self, or moving towards counterpart and saying, how do I become you, or how do I find you? And the energy says, you don't try, you just are, right? You're being too hard on yourself. You're putting too much. It's not about what you need to do more of. It's being able to come into that place of understanding that you might, like, what if I almost hear the energy in separation saying, what if you already are me, right? Like, this is what's beautiful about that. I almost hear that energy saying, what if you already are me? And if the energy right now in separation says, I'm not, then the energy says, what's stopping you from doing so? What is the difference between what you see, or what your ideal is, between where you are, right? Because that is the map. That is the map, right? Like, there's the map. It's right there. Well, for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is why this energy feels like, I keep on seeing, like, the energy going like this and then going like this. They're going like this and then they're going like this, because they've opened their arms to the possibility, and then they're immediately, like, smacking their head for what was standing before them that they could not see. Right? Because when we, and also forgiving themselves in the process, because in that moment that we forgive ourselves, we look towards something, right? And we go, oh, I can see it now. Like it's so abundantly clear to me, right? It's right before me. But it's that moment of reaching that point and arriving to it. We sometimes don't understand that until we journey towards it. There's some things we only get closure on, some things until we move far enough on our own journey that we can see something with clarity, or we feel something in a way that we haven't before. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles in its upright. One of the next card to clarify, we've got here our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal, right? Working through the energetic frustration, right? A lot of this energy right now, I'm telling you right now, I know, it can feel, if you're feeling, I'm going to say it again, if you feel like you've got a little tiny short fuse, like your fuse is usually like this, and right now it's like this, I want you to imagine that everyone else is feeling that too, right? And let that be the force of compassion that you bring forth as it relates to being energetically patient, right? Now, for a lot of I just keep on seeing like a lot, like I'll put it this way. I feel like there's a lot of energy right now in separation that is working through, like, I feel like even in that moment of saying, like, and we talked a little about this, some of the energy saying, how do I let go of this? Recognizes that when we say, how do I let go of this? What we're really saying is, I don't want to feel this way, right? And that's why when the higher self says, we always feel this way, we feel this way going forward, right? A healthy healing journey is not one where you stop feeling. It's where you feel other things too. Like, if there's like energy that's like releasing frustration in that, it's actually, I want to describe it as it feels like it's a healthy frustration. I can almost hear the higher self saying like, no, it's okay, get it out of your system. Like, because it's a lot of that work that like, like that's what we talk about with surrender, is it's not letting go. It's just accepting how we feel and honoring it. And sometimes when we feel frustrated about that, like that's why I keep on saying, like I hear that energy saying, you know, much like we saw the energy coming into divine union, like that work in terms of, there are things that are like, look, and we talk about this, like this is what we talk about with maturation, right? Like we feel a lot of that frustration because we feel confusion about the things that we feel, right? We feel we get frustrated about, we go, I don't know what to do with this. Where do I put this? Right? And I almost see that a lot of that energy in separation, like that's why I kind of and it has everything to do with this Mars retrograde, because it's like the confidence, like I would not be surprised right now. Like I'll tell you right now, look at these two cards in combination. Because of where Jupiter, like, okay, because of where, and I'll have to check this out when we get out of the reading, because of where Jupiter is placed right now, it's making the Mars retrograde feel even more intense. So if you're having a lot of those moments, it feels like this, like I've got it, I've got it, I don't, like, yeah, because, and I'll tell it, like, I'll put it this way, like, it's a lot of bouncing back, and there's got to be, it has something, it's Gemini too. It has a lot to do, if you're feeling like you're bouncing back and forth between hope, dread, hope, dread, hope, dread, it's because it's the amplification of the Mars retrograde. Because when Mars is in retrograde, it's like the confidence isn't high, the confidence isn't low. The confidence goes like this. It's like a roller coaster. So today is one of those days that really feels like you may be feeling a lot more of that, like, intensity, as it were. But I want you to think, like, if you're feeling like this, I want you to say to yourself, I am getting stronger every day. Like, I am getting stronger every day, because one's own ability of being able to work in that context and to recognize that you have enough space to hold those energetic feelings, like that's allowing for some of that frustration to move you, like, or encourage you into the direction that feels like it is best for you, right? And so they're saying even now, like, make sure that you're navigating that, allowing that frustration. You can guide with intention, even through frustration, right? Like that's what fervent means. Like that's what fervent is. Fervent is frustration combined with intentionality, is what we start feeling when we feel fervent. So there's a lot of energy I just see in separation that's becoming fervent as it relates to what is important to them, right? And often in that moment that we become fervent, we look at something and say, why is this important to me? Right? And again, is this coming from the ego or is it coming from the higher self? And what does the ego say? The ego says, because I want it that way, right? The higher self says, this is why, right? It's like continuing to get clarification. I see a lot of energy coming into divine union that is potentially recognizing moments that their ego drove them into the direction of things that were not for them, right? And this is why we talk about having a healthy relationship with our ego. It's not about losing the ego entirely. The ego protects us. The ego is the framework of the self. It's like the building blocks. When the ego insists upon things, it cannot see. Right? When the ego insists on something being the way that one desires it to be, it doesn't allow us to see things clearly. Right? So I just keep on seeing that that's what's effectively happening right now, is a lot of that energy coming into that warrior mentality, right? Working in that space of seeing the difference between what their ego might have been insisting upon versus what's actually for them, like the manifestation made real that is beyond the ego's possibility of envisioning it. And in those moments, I can see that this is the energy that's looking back at the ego and going, oh, geez. It's like that's why it becomes cringe, because it's those moments of being like, oh, ego, what did you do? Like, because it's a lot of that work in terms of seeing something and being like, well, that wasn't it, but boy, was I trying. Like that wasn't it, but boy, because you can tell, like, the energy. Like this is this is why it's inner child healing, because this is energy coming into divine union, healing from those moments that the ego was fervent upon something that was not for them, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, deep within divine union, this is why this energy right now may just be feeling like straight up frustrating. It may just be, it feels like I keep on seeing like a lot of energy saying, what do I do with this? Or working through a lot of this, because I can almost feel like a lot of that energy navigating like changes. Like I feel like there's something about the frustration right now that feels transformative, right? It's not so much an energy right now that feels like it's fervent, but it feels like a lot of the energy deep within divine union that is moving that frustration into something that is transformative. This is why I keep on hearing that that's a lot of that energy, like finding Aries. But it's like they're actually saying it's like Taurus through Aries, which is like taking that frustration and moving it into something transformational. But it's hard because I told you Taurus energy doesn't like change. like Taurus energy really doesn't like change. And what did I tell you about warrior energy being like, I don't want to. But that's why we see that it feels like, again, much like warrior energy, which is coming into that place of transformation, but not doing so reactively, doing so intentionally, right? Continuing to get clarification between our 4 of Pentacles in combination with our Four of Wands upright. I just got to tell you guys, I just want to point out, we've got a lot of duality in today's reading. We've got double sevens together and we've got double fours. So everything about going through like different ways of doing things. It has to do, we got to figure out what Gemini is right now, because there's a lot, like whenever I see a lot of duality like this, it's like weighing path work, being like which way, like how to go about doing something, you know? One card to clarify. We've got here our 9, and this is where Scorpio keeps popping up and being like, what if there's a different thing? Like, there's a lot of this, like even, and this is, okay, and that's something to keep in mind too, which is, you know, I keep on seeing that, I keep on hearing, like, this is what I meant in relationality to not trying to force a breakthrough right now, because, like, I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, looking at something, amplifying and articulating all the different ways to potentially go about doing something is profoundly important. But more specifically than that, one of the reasons it feels to me like something is profoundly important there is it's actually saying to me that there's a level or degree of adaptability as it relates to working on something in the past, but in a way that one hasn't considered it before. As I mentioned, a lot of the energy deep within divine union is healing wounds of intimacy. And when we're healing wounds of intimacy, they require that work. They require that ability of looking at something in a new way. And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy deep within divine union that are finding new ways to navigate through frustrations that feel either like learning new things, finding new ways of communicating, being adaptable. Because there's even, like, there's something even about like looking at something in such a way that's what I meant. Like, it's like, it feels transformative because, and this has everything to do with that Pluto coming into Aquarius, right? It's like things, like, it's not about things being like black or white. It's not about things being like yes or no. It's a lot of that work in terms of recognizing and identifying that often when we feel like we are pulled in two different directions, maybe that is the call to think of something new that breaches the gap, like that breaches the gap between possibilities that we're struggling through. That's why I keep on hearing like a lot of the energy in divine union, like finding a new language, like healing the bonds of the wounds of intimacy by finding a new way of communicating, as it were. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of that energy that's like working in that context or working in that space that, like this is the, like this is the energy that's forgiving themselves in the process, because this is the energy that says to themselves, I can't be mad at myself for not recognizing something that I had never felt before. Like that's how some of this inner child healing is occurring. I have to forgive myself for not being able to feel something that I'd never felt before. So that's why, like, that's what feels like, that's why it feels like navigating the cringe to a certain extent, because this is the energy that like appreciates that journey. And even in the space of doing so, like, this is the energy that, like, this is almost I got to point this out. Okay. This is wild. All right. Hold on a minute. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Hold on. The energy that's coming into divine union is finding Aries in the present. The energy deep within divine union is finding Aries in the present by doing new things. The energy coming into divine union is finding Aries in the past because they're looking at the past version of self like a child that was trying to learn something but didn't know what they were trying to learn. While for the energy that's coming, that's in separation, this is the energy in separation that's finding Aries in the future because they're having conversations with their higher self and saying, when do we have the courage to move forward? And that's why the energy that's why the energy in separation says, whenever you're ready. Like the energy goes, whenever you're ready. Like, continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands in combination with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's cool. Sorry. Sometimes that's cool. All right. Is Justice card in its upright. Yeah. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Like that's actually what I hear the energy say. The energy's going cool. Like, because that's the energy in separation conversing with the higher self and goes, when do I get as cool as you? Like, when do I get as cool as you? When do I stop caring? But that's the energy goes, no, you don't understand. We never stop caring. Like we never stop caring. We just start feeling more things. And that's the energy goes, when do we start feeling more things? And the higher self goes, whenever you're ready. Like, whenever you're ready. Like, I'm like, when we like you lead, like, whenever you're ready. While for masculine and feminine energy that's coming into divine union, I just see a lot of that energy coming into divine union that feels like they've arrived. And the journey of arriving into partnership is looking back at it, like at the energy of the past that was in its Aries energy and being like, oh, look at them trying and failing. Like, oh no, oh, like it's a lot of that type of like, it's like, that's why sometimes like when we find Aries in the past, we're like, oh, like, because we didn't land upon the energetic solution. While for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, this is the energy that's like channeling the energy and the Aries energy now, which is like, I need to learn how to do something. I need to figure out a new way of communicating. We need to do this. We need to do that because it's becoming inventive. It's becoming playful as it relates to how to address a problem, like finding a solution. Because the thing about Aries energy is incredible because it's like the trying muscle is just like try. Like, it's like there's no failure. There's only like every time you do it, you're going to get a little bit better. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Cups in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. There is no fail. There's only try is what I'm hearing. There is no fail. There's only try. Continuing to get clarification. 2 cards to clarify. And we've got here our Nine of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Star card in its reversal. And this is, this is the thing about it that feels challenging, that feels like problematic, because there's so much of this energy here that I just want to say, like, it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. For a lot of the energy right now that is that's in separation, this is why I feel like something about that healing journey, it's like I keep on getting like I keep on getting that there's a lot of feminine energy that's looking back with sentimentality on the past version of self that didn't feel a certain way, right? Like there's something about that when we come into a space of understanding and recognizing and feeling that valuation point, we almost like, this is how this energy is going into like inner child healing. Because everything I keep seeing here to a certain extent is the energy looking back at the past version of self that didn't feel like that, like a certain way, and saying, I'm never going to be that person again. Right? And this is the higher self that says, yeah, like that's a part of that journey, right? It's not about It's not about like, and that's the, I can almost hear the energy saying, why would you want to go back to that? You know what I mean? Because, and we talk a lot about this. Wisdom, wisdom is painful, right? Wisdom is the description, the definition between learning, like understanding, and wisdom is the hard fought lesson. It's a lesson. We never get wise learning something that's easy to learn. Wisdom is gained through working in that context of navigating something and saying, I want to avoid that. I don't want that to occur again. This is what we talk about with formative experiences. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy of the feminine, feeling that sometimes we have something that comes through, and I'll describe this. It's the sacred pain. It's the pain of holding on to something that feels like it burns our hands as we hold on to it, because it's that moment of saying, this hurt me to learn, right? This hurt me to come into understanding of. But that is also what builds into the context of compassion, because when we're in that space of love, right? The love that we hold for ourselves, when we love ourselves deeply, we say, baby, I'm going to make sure you never have to feel that again. Right? That's where wisdom comes, like going, we're going to avoid that. We're going to work on that. We're not going to let that happen again. Right? And we expand and we express that level or degree of care on others. For a lot of the masculine energy, I feel like this is a little bit of a different journey right now in separation, because I feel like that there's something about masculine isolation that needs to be recognized. And for a lot of the masculine energy, a lot of it that I'm seeing is understanding that when we create, I keep on hearing the same message for masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. When we create a false sense of self, we never allow ourselves to be loved truly, because we create an illusion and then someone falls in love with that illusion. And then it feels like we're existing through a veil. We're existing through a veil that isn't our true authentic self. It's like a performative act that we have to put on every day. It's the mask that we wear. And when we put that before counterpart, we become afraid to take it off. And that's why I keep seeing that for a lot of the masculine energy, there's pain. Like there's pain in that process, because I see some masculine energy looks back on experiences and says, that person never knew me. That person fell in love with a fiction. That person fell in love with a dream that I turned into reality. And that dream that I turned into reality prevented them from ever loving me. Right? And a lot of that work, this is why the masculine energy works on healing the ego, because that ego, it's like, it's like, look, I know what we can do. Listen, buddy, I know what we can do. This is what we want them to like us. This is all we got to do. Just put this on. What is this? Just put it on. Don't ask any questions. Right? But when the ego comes into that space, when the ego and the self are not in agreement, it can feel like we're not really living the lives that we truly desire, because we build a life for the ego, not the inner self. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy here, like I can almost hear that energy saying, I'll never forgive myself. But in the moment, and I need to say this, in the moment that you say that, you already have. Right? The moment that you say, I'll never forgive myself, you already have, because you recognize those moments where that may have occurred, and you're already facilitating that place or that power to be able to put that change into the present. So again, I don't want anybody getting too hard on themselves, because I'm telling you right now, this Venus energy can shine a really hard light on the self, and you can be really hard on yourself in the process. So make sure that you're navigating those spaces with compassion. Continuing, and that's happening across all the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Yeah, the nine of Wands in its reversal. How do we heal those moments? How do we heal those pains? How do we heal those moments? We hold ourselves gently. And that doesn't mean that we don't hold ourselves accountable. I keep on getting a firm embrace and a nudge and a strong nudge in the right direction. Like a firm embrace and then a strong nudge in the right direction, right? Because I keep on hearing some of this energy and separation say, I never let go of it because it's formative. I never let go of it because everything changes from that moment on. Like those moments that sometimes feel like they debilitate us, they guide us back onto our path work, right? So I keep on seeing that there's something about that work here that it's like, this is why we call it the sacred pain, because it's those moments that say, it was that formative energy that created that pivot point, right? There's a lot of that energy that says like it's not a journey of going backwards to a moment that you didn't feel something. It's always a moment that you continue forward and you feel more. And those moments that we say, I wish, I wish I didn't have to carry that, or I wish I didn't have to feel that. Like our higher self says, well, listen, I guarantee you're not going to have to anymore. like you're not, that's not going to happen again, because you're in that space and you're saying, I don't want to feel that again. And so that's the energy that says, and we don't, because you take that and you let that serve as an energetic lesson as you continue forward. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy coming into divine union, there's, I want to describe this as like this is the energy that's saying, I can hear that energy saying, I forgive me, because this is the energy that's forgiving, forgiving themselves for something that seems so clear. Like this is the energy that says, it's clear to me now, like key point being now, because once we fall into a solution space, we've all had these moments when you fall into a solution space that it seems like everything you did before that was just like, like who was that person? But that's why this energy is being kind to themselves on that process, because it's a recognition that is such is the way. Closure does not come going backwards. It always comes moving forwards. Continuing to get clarification. And that's why I see even now, I just keep on hearing a lot of this energy deep within divine union with the combination of the 9 of Wands in its reversal and the combination of the Justice card in its upright. One card to clarify. A lot of this energy saying to themselves, the divine energy and divine union, you can't force a breakthrough. You can't force a breakthrough. You put compassion on the self, and the breakthrough arrives, right? You're kind to one. You're kind to each other in the process, and that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy. This is how the counterparts support one another as they're feeling frustrated, as they navigate those frustrations, as they're trying to find those breakthroughs for themselves, or as it relates to healing wounds of intimacy. This is the energy that does so gently, compassionately, right? Holding each other every step of the way. Continuing to get clarification between our Star card in its reversal, our 9 of Pentacles in its upright, and our 10 of Wands in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the 9 of Swords in its upright. I'm going to tell you even now, like, I'm going to keep on saying this right now, because this energy, like, it's navigating the frustration. It's a lot of that work. But I want you to remember right now, like, again, if things are not ideal, then you have your work cut out for you. Then those spaces or places of navigating through those experiences, feeling that frustration, if you're feeling frustrated, don't let it move you out of alignment with who you know yourself to be. Let it reaffirm your own energetic commitment to identifying who you are. And that's why we always have to navigate, like, frustration. What do people say when they get frustrated? I don't know what got into me. right? Like that's what we say when we're frustrated. We say, I don't know what got into me. Because like a lot of that work, like we allow we when we feel frustrated, we're feeling an intensity of experience that we want to project outwards, right? It's like that's what frustration is. It's feeling something and being annoyed by it and wanting to just like lash out with it. But when we step back and we're able to find the capacity within the self to navigate the frustration, it can create an expansion point, right? When we find that we've got enough room to hold it, like a lot of that, it doesn't mean that it's not meaning like the solution isn't not being frustrated, right? There's never going to be an experience where you're not frustrated. Like, but it's finding the fortitude in the self. Like I just keep on hearing a lot of this energy right now is about fortitude. Finding the fortitude in the self is often the identification point of saying, I have enough room within myself to hold this. So if you're feeling a lot of this frustration right now, I want you to remember you can take a moment, just pause, give yourself a pause point and say, I have enough room within myself to hold this, right? Like give yourself the opportunity to make space to just feel it and then allow that intention to guide you. And that doesn't mean that you have to try to suppress it, right? Because that's not healthy. But finding healthy ways to take that frustration into a place that feels like it is affirming instead of something that feels like it is difficult or painful, like that's what's going to be helpful with this type of energy today. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Cups in its upright. We've got here our 7 of Wands in its reversal. And it also is I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be some energy around you right now of those that might be projecting it more, right? And it's much the same that I saw. Like a lot of like, it feels good. It feels good to project, right? Ooh, it feels good. Like it feels good, but it doesn't move us in the direction that we aspire us to. So that's why I'm saying even now, if someone is projecting that onto you, don't match energy. If someone's trying to provoke you, don't energetically, like don't match them in that frequency by moving away from one's own sense of alignment. Recognize, like you can recognize the pain or frustration that they might be experiencing. You can hold compassion for it while also navigating one's own energetic standards. And sometimes it's in that moment that we just create a pause point will often help another recognize and identify, like if they're energetically projecting, right? So just be I'm getting a message. Be patient. If another person is projecting onto you, don't match them energetically in that way, Final card for today's spread and this is especially so for a lot of the energy within divine union, because as we know, like when you're deep in connection, often those that are close, like it's so easy because it's like it's like they're right there, but it's like a lot of that work, like even here, like making sure that you're intentional as it relates to articulating like the difference. I keep on getting the difference between being frustrated, right? Feeling frustrated and feeling frustrated at someone, right? There's differences there. So make sure that you're navigating that if you're feeling that today. Final card between our 9 of Swords in combination with our 7 of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the 3 of Swords in its reversal. So this is very much a continuation on what we were just experiencing and seeing, right? Like I'm going to tell you right now, there is an intensity right now. Like, so I'm going to tell you, like the things I'm seeing that you just want to be mindful of today is it feels like that back and forth that we're experiencing with the Mars retrograde, the like hope, dread. It feels like it's going like very quick today. And then we've got a lot of this like heavy force energy that I'm feeling between like Taurus and Jupiter. And like Taurus and Jupiter, like I told, it's like one pull, like one wants to drive forward, one wants to pull back. So it's like a lot of this, like, it can feel like a lot of this, like being pulled in different directions today. Don't be frustrated at that pull. Be intentional throughout it, right? Like pace yourself. If you're feeling rushed, slow things down today, right? If someone is coming towards you in ways that seem like they're not being intentional, like take a step back, like like this is what we talk about with presence. Like presence is sometimes just like taking that moment, give yourself that beat is what I'm hearing, right? And that doesn't mean that you can't move forward today when you're being intentional, but do so intentionally, right? Allow that energetic force to like move you forward in ways that feels like it is productive, as opposed to something that feels reactive. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, particularly with the Eight of Pentacles in its upright, here, and I'm telling you even now, like this has a lot to do, like it's got a bit to do with this like Taurus, and I gotta check out where Taurus and Jupiter are right now, because it's like get to work in different ways is what I'm hearing. Like the energy is both feeling like the desire to get to work, but it's like it's in different ways. So that's why I feel like there's I keep on hearing like there's an argumentation point between like, like that like between Venus, Taurus, Venus. So between like how one goes about that, like it's like, and that's why I keep seeing like the energy. It feels like it's rousing because it's like you got work to do. I would not be surprised if you're having issues sleeping right now, or you feel like you're being woken up, because like a lot of this type of energy here, it feels very like it feels very work oriented. It feels very much like wanting to do something, right? So making sure like I told you, you can move that in a way that is expansive. But a lot of it almost feels like it also requires one to be innovative in the process. So don't, like, remember, like I'll put it this way. I'm gonna give you guys this, and this is what I meant with like a little bit of that like Venus retrograde sometimes shining a hard light, which is if something isn't working, don't say I'm not working or this isn't working. Say I haven't come across a solution yet. Look for the solution. If you're, and don't get focused or frustrated or fixated on the problem. Like, and don't say I'm the problem. Like, don't say to yourself, like, don't blame yourself for there being a problem. Remember that is you being qualitative. Like, if you're not doing something well, there's always something that you can do better. So allow some of that Aquarius energy to like innovate, like to expand. Like I keep on telling you, like breakthrough, not breakdown, right? That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my website. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Hermit card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, February 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Wheel of Fortune card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is become a paid subscriber to my Substack. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access as a monthly member to the Tarot Church Library, which is over 9 hours worth of materials that are available to you as a monthly subscriber. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we are currently learning or have studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. You will also have access to the full Tarot Church Library. And I also want to let you guys know that even if you don't become a paid subscriber, please be sure to follow me on Substack, because there you can be connected to my newsletter, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule. You'll also, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal path and spiritual journey. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I also want to let you guys know that I'm now offering dream interpretation packages as well. You can purchase those on an individual level per dream, or if you'd like to work with me in the package scenario, all you have to do is make sure that you start keeping a dream journal. We will meet weekly or bi-weekly to review your dreams and utilize the tarot to understand the key lessons and symbols coming through the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.